Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alamin. Allahumma salli wa sallim wa barik ala Sayyidina Muhammadin wa ala ali Sayyidina Muhammad. Adada kamalillahi wa kama yaliku bi kamalih. Rabbi shrah li sadri wa yassir li amri wahlul uqdatan min lisani yafqahu qawli. Rabbi yassir wa la tu'assir, Rabbi tammim bil khair. Subhanaka la nuhsi thana'an 'alaika anta kama athnayta 'ala nafsik, falakal hamdu hatta tarda wa lakal hamdu idza radita wa lakal hamdu ba'da ridha. Nawaitu ta'alluma wa ta'lima tadhakkura wa tadhkira wa nafa wal intifa' wal ifada wal istifada wal hatha 'ala tamassuki bi kitabillahi wa sunnati rasulillahi sallallahu alaihi wasallam والدعاء إلى الهدى والدلالة على الخير ابتغاء وجه الله مرضاته وقربه وثوابه سبحانه وتعالى وإلى حضرة النبي محمد صلى الله عليه وسلم. الفاتحة. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله رب العالمين الرحمن الرحيم مالك يوم الدين إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين اهدنا الصراط المستقيم صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين آمين. الحمد لله. Today we're looking at the 22nd council. We're looking at the 22nd council, and it's talking about da'wah, and it's a very important aspect that we need to understand today, because da'wah is something that everyone seems to believe that they are qualified to partake in today. They feel that, oh, everyone should take part in da'wah, which is true, because the Prophet ﷺ says, "Balighu anni walau ayah," deliver from me walau, even though it's only one ayah. And Allah says in the Quran, "Ud'u ila sabili rabbika bil hikmah," and call onto the way of your Lord bil hikmah, with wisdom, wal mau'izatil hasana, all right, and with reminder that is of in a best way. So these are callings for us to call to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. This is in instruction for us to call to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. However, while everyone should be partaking in da'wah, while everyone is encouraged to take part in da'wah, it does comes with preconditions, and this is something that everyone always overlooks. In anything in life, if you want to undertake it, all right, it comes with preconditions. It comes with preconditions, and in Islam, undertaking something, all right, comes with two general conditions. One is to have the knowledge and best intentions. You have to have the knowledge to do so. So anything, says Imam Ibn Ruslan in Matan Zubat, he says, وَعَمِلُوا بِغَيْرِ عِلْمٍ عَمَلُهُ مَرْدُودَةٌ لَا تُقْبَلُ. That if you were to perform something and to act upon something without a knowledge that is based upon, then therefore that act is rejected. So if you want to do da'wah, but your da'wah is based upon no knowledge of how to do it, then that da'wah becomes vain. It will not reach the acceptance of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. In fact, it will fail. And the other thing is that you have to have intentions, and they both must coexist. You can't say I have the best of intentions but have no knowledge to do it, or you have the best of knowledge to do things but you have no good intentions to do so. So knowledge and intentions must work hand in hand in order for da'wah to work, or for any other matters to work. All right, for it to get acceptance, to get the pleasure of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, you must have both. So that's why we are embarking on the study of da'wah today, so that we know da'wah is not as easy as making some posters or some TikTok videos and say, I have the intention to do so and I shall do it. All right, that does not constitute of proper da'wah. If we actually, it can only constitute of proper da'wah if we have the preconditions addressed. And today we'll look at the preconditions. So I'm not saying that doing TikTok is wrong. I'm not saying that going through any means of da'wah is problematic, but I'm saying that it's problematic if you do not understand what is the basic guiding principle in undertaking in the first place. All right, maybe that's the reason why our call to da'wah is a little messed up these days. Right, it's a little bit all over the place. It's a little bit not. It is not reaching the outcome that is desired. Perhaps because we don't actually seek to get the desire of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. That's the problem. Now it says here, my dear son, I advise you regarding 8 things. So there's 8 things to take on off. So indeed, it's 22nd council, but in this whole council, there's going to be 8 advice from Sayyidina Imam al-Ghazali rahimahullah ta'ala. Accept them from me, lest your knowledge becomes your enemy on the day of judgment. So he says that take it from me. And when he says something like this, you're going to say, on which authority is guy saying this? He's saying this as though he knows about that he can save him from hereafter. He is quoting this because he is quoting from the Quran and from the hadith of Prophet ﷺ. So he's not saying this in vain. All right, he's saying this. All right, he's saying this because he knows that the Prophet promised that if you do certain things, then you'll be saved in the hereafter. He's not saying from his own, from his vain desires. All right. Perform 4 of them and avoid 4. So you can look at perform 4 and avoid 4. And he's starting with 4 you should avoid. And this is actually in the methodology of the religion, in that it is actually more pertinent for us to act upon avoiding than starting on doing good. So if you have to weigh between doing good and avoiding evil, you should start avoiding evil before you actually start doing good. Which is why symbolically, before you start performing your salat, you have to get rid of, you have to do the purification. So that is symbolic of removing something before you act upon the goodness. So you have to remove. So you have to work, you have to seek to remove before you start doing something. Okay? First, now this is the first one. And the first one already is something that we all are guilty of. The society is guilty of, we all are guilty of. And this is very interesting because Imam al-Ghazali wrote this work is what? This work is given here thousands of years ago. All right? But it is pertinent till this very day. What does he say? Firstly, so first thing you should avoid. Do not dispute with anyone in any matter as far as possible. In any matter, do not dispute. So do not get into arguments. Do not get into debates. For in argumentation lies much harm. So he's saying that do not, and we have this problem now. Everyone wants to argue. All right, everyone, regardless of whether you have knowledge of it, regardless what is the premise, everyone wants to argue. Everyone has something to say. Where? Social media. So argument here is, in the past, it was just reduced to vocal. It's just reduced to a conversational one. But now it's written. Why? Because social media has given voice to those who can't speak. Some people, they can't speak, but they can write a lot. Some people don't like to be in the open. They do better hidden. So now social media provides for both. Those who can't speak and those who can't be in the open. So you can be hidden behind another identity, and then you can say things you want. All right. And then you don't suffer much from it because why? Your identity is concealed. And this is the greatest danger of all things. All right, when you're given the voice. That's why the beautiful verse in the Quran, Al-yawma nakhtimu ala afwahihim wa tukallimuna aydihim. Then on the day that our tongues will not be able to speak, but our hands shall speak. It is actually very pertinent up till this very day when you talk about it. In fact, it becomes more illuminated in meaning in the days that we look at today, whereby people now start to speak with their fingers. In fact, those speaking with their fingers seem to do more harm than those who speak with their tongue. Right? People just type something and they feel very empowered by it. All right. It gives them the audience, gives them the voice, it gives them the followers that they desire. Okay. So he says, for in argumentation lies much harm. So in understanding this is not, when he wrote this last time, argumentation is usually referring to an argument between two groups of people. Verbal. But now, in today's time, it is rewritten. For in argumentation lies much harm, and its evil is greater than its benefit. There is benefit. And he's going to say there's benefit to it. But the evil is more. All right. So we always tend to undermine the evil of it and say that, as long as there's benefit. No, it's wrong. If you have to weigh and be honestly weighing the fact that if there's going to be more harm, then you should actually avoid it even if there's good. Okay. It is the source of all reprehensible qualities such as showing off. When you debate, without a shadow of a doubt, the devil will plant some things inside you. One of it is that showing off. You're able to quote. You're able to undermine. You're able to defeat. You're able to cut off someone's argument. You're able to weaken someone's argument. So that is that. All right. So showing off. What more if that debate takes place in the presence of the masses? What more if that debate is seen on social media, online, in the comment section? Oh, everyone sees how superior you are. So there's the elements of showing off. There's also envy. Why? Envy amongst who? Those who partake in the debate, in the argument, and those who are arguing as well, those who are watching the argument. There's envy. Why? Oh, this guy can speak very well. Oh, this guy is so articulate. You start to be envious, not because you want to gain Allah's pleasure. You can get Envy is permissible if it's to gain Allah's pleasure. But your envy is because you don't have what someone has. That leads to that shows ingratitude towards Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. All right. Arrogance. Kibr. All right. You start to have arrogance. You start to deem yourself superior. You start to look down on other people. All right. You start to feel superior. You start to be condescending. And you know, all these things, even one speck of it, a speck of it, all right, a speck of it can disqualify you from entering paradise. Not I who said it, the Prophet says this. لا يدخل الجنة من كان في قلبه مثقال ذرة من كبر. All right. The Prophet ﷺ says, لا يدخل الجنة. One shall not enter paradise. All right. من كان في قلبه مثقال ذرة من كبر. If there is one speck, atom size of arrogance in his heart. If you have one speck of it, you are not qualified for paradise. Imagine in a debate how many specks, gallons, all right, containers of arrogance do you have when you defeat someone, especially if he takes part in the public and you get people to cheer you, even though they're cheering is manifested in a takbir. You feel that you have won. If there's one speck of arrogance, when you feel that way, then that is disqualified. No matter how many people likes it, no matter how many takbirats is being mentioned. People say takbir, and everyone starts to feel good about it, and they say takbir, and you have won against someone who's supposedly against the religion. But inside your heart, you have arrogance. Inside your heart, you feel superior. Inside your heart, you feel good. Then if you have that, then that's undermined your da'wah in totality. So be mindful. Because we live in a boxing arena reality now, where we like to box people into submission, where we like the feeling of putting someone in their place by putting them down, undermining them, and we feel satisfied when they can't get back from the argument. All right, you get people to cheer you on. You know, you have cheerleaders in debates. You have people to cheer you. You have people to jeer. That's why it's like a boxing match. Only in a boxing match, in a wrestling match, in such matches where you have the cheerers and the booers. You have the cheerers and the jeerers. And now in parks, in public places, when people debate, people have people who cheer and people who jeer, people who laugh, people who scoff. All the things that's present, all right? All the things that's present, all right, in a place that is unbecoming is now present in a place whereby you are supposed to seek for truth. It's not possible. Whereas in the past, all right, whereby the Prophet ﷺ, all right, Sayyidina Ali bin Abi Talib says that the marketplaces of the believer is his gathering of zikr. Sayyidina Ali says that the marketplace of the believer is a gathering for zikrullah. Means that even in a place like the market, which is the place, one of the places that Prophet shuns the most, in the sense that the Prophet tells us to be wary of going to the market, because that's where all the cheating happens. That's where the possibility of cheating happens. The possibility of undercutting happens. All right. The possibility of fraud happens. The possibility of unhealthy rivalries happen. He says to be mindful of it. But Sayyidina Ali bin Abi Talib says that the believer, when he goes to the marketplace, that place becomes a place of zikrullah. Because in that marketplace of a believer, it becomes a place where people humble themselves before Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in doing transactions. But now in contrary, in a place where you're supposed to seek truth, you have, all right, unbecoming behavior inside. Be mindful. So I'm saying this, that's why we are learning this today, so that we are not swayed. All right, we are not swayed by what is in social media. Yes, it's eloquence. That's why Imam Ghazali is trying, and the most fluent of people in his time was Imam Al-Ghazali. Fluent in the writing and fluent in speech. He was fluent in speech because he was the best debater in his time. He will debate people of different thoughts, different mindsets, different faiths, and he will beat them. And he's the most fluent in writing. His work, Ihya Ulumuddin, his work, Ayyuhal Walad, his work, Minhajul Abidin, are read in entirety and in detail today. Take advice from someone who has it and tells us that it's not about all these things. It's not about this, but the substance that's underlying it. All right. If the substance of your eloquence, if the substance of your articulation is arrogance, then it is something that you should be wary of and you should remove it. Better the stutterer with a pure heart than the fluent one with evil intentions. All right. Better the stutterer. He can't speak. Someone can't speak that much. He doesn't know how to speak. He can't speak in public. But he's got a good intention. So how does he put intention? He does calligraphy. He can't speak, but he does calligraphy. Better that person than the person who teaches Dear Beloved Son every Sunday mornings. He speaks so fluently, but his intention is bad. Better the person who does calligraphy. True story. All right. Rancor. Rancor means what? Hate. And this is something that we always overlook. Hatred. You know, in fact, in our recent developments in this world, all right. That's why I was telling to some of my students, we were gathered on Friday. We were talking, Friday nights, and my place, we gathered to read the seerah of the Prophet Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. All right, you young people, all right. And we talk about the seerah Prophet, and we were talking about the Battle of Uhud, and we were talking about the issue of rancor. You know, the Prophet Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, he's the best of Prophet. And so he met the worst of people who were against him in his time, Abu Jahl, Abu Lahab, and henceforth. So in the Battle of Uhud, he was facing the mushrikins of Mecca. He was eager to remove him, was eager to kill him and get rid of the whole of Medina. All right. So this was people who were eager to kill the Prophet. To kill the Ummah of the Prophet is bad enough, but to kill the leader of the Ummah is beyond evil. So these people of Mecca, 3,000 of them coming down, and in the Battle of Uhud, they caused the Prophet to bleed profusely. He fell into a hole, a trap that they set. He fell into a hole. His face bled. And when his face bled, all right, there was some narration that says that he cupped his hands out to prevent the blood from his face from dripping onto the ground. Even one drop. He says that if one drop of my blood from my face falls onto the ground, I fear that Allah SWT will send his wrath onto these people. Now look at this. I want you to understand this properly. So I read into the seerah. You are reading a lot of postings nowadays. You forget to read the seerah. When the Prophet sees the blood is dripping and is falling, he captures. He says this, I don't want blood to fall and Allah sends out his wrath onto these people. Who are these people? His ummah. And who is the Prophet's ummah? وَمَا أَرْسَلْنَكَ إِلَّا رَحْمَةً لِلْعَالَمِينَ. The community. These are people who don't believe him, people who fought against him, who have so much wrath against him. And the Prophet ﷺ says, I don't want them to be tormented because of my job that falls on, because he carries hope for them. As much as they are in a war, because circumstances call that they have war. Why? It's not the Prophet wanted the war. They wanted to take on the Prophet. They wanted to remove the Prophet. So the Prophet had to defend himself, and the companions had to defend themselves. But in such circumstances, he could have easily let, if it was us, it was up to us, we'll let all the drop fall onto the floor and see the repercussions. But the Prophet, one drop. And in a beautiful dua, at the end of in the Battle of Uhud, what is the dua the Prophet said? He says this beautiful dua. He says, Allahumma hdi qawmi فَإِنَّهُمْ لَا يَعْلَمُونَ. Oh Allah, give guidance to my people. My people, qawmi. Who are my people? He's talking about disbelievers, the mushriks of Mecca, the people who are there to kill him, annihilate him, remove him. All right. He says, Allahumma hdi qawmi. Oh Allah, give guidance to my people. فَإِنَّهُمْ لَا يَعْلَمُونَ. For indeed, they do not know. We have lost the translation and the plot nowadays. Everything, Ya Allah, send down the dogs upon them. Ya Allah, send down your wrath for them. The Prophet, in these circumstances, Ya Allah, give guidance. Ask for guidance. We forgot that we are the ummah of rahmah. We are the ummah of the Prophet that is sent to bring rahmah. We forget that in all we allow rancor to overwhelm ourselves. And look at in the Battle of Uhud. And do not ever say that Prophet's circumstances is not like what we have today. The Prophet, in the most frequent times of his life, every moment of his life, he is faced with death. Before he was born, he lost his father. Upon his birth, 6 years later, he lost his mother. 2 years later, he lost. Almost every passage of his life, he loses someone important through death. Even in the Battle of Badr, the greatest victory for the Muslims in the Battle of Badr, on his way back, he loses his daughter. So every stage he loses. And in the Battle of Uhud, he lost 70 companions. He lost 70 companions. And among his companions was his most beloved member of his family, his beloved Ahlul Bayt. Who is his beloved Ahlul Bayt? Sayyidina Hamza bin Abdul Muttalib. Yet, despite going through all this, at the end of the battle, he gathers the companions. He recited this beautiful dua. Allahumma habib ilayna al-iman. Oh Allah, make iman most beautiful to me. Make iman, Allahumma habib ilayna iman. Make iman most beloved to me. Allahumma habib ilayna al-iman. Oh Allah, make iman most beloved to me. Wa zainhu fi qulubina. Beautify it in our hearts. This is his dua after the Battle of Uhud. The battle where he lost. And Sayyidina Hamza, he was physically, what happened to him? All right. His body, all right, was mutilated. They cut off his nose. They cut off his ears to make into what? Ornaments. They parted his chest. They chewed on his chest. They spat his chest out. That was the state of Sayyidina Hamza bin Abdul Muttalib. That was his state. What did the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam? Allahumma habib ilayna al-iman. At the end of the day, the faith. At the end of the day, he makes dua. So it's important for us. All right, which is why Imam Al-Ghazali, if you look at his works, he's telling that the start of all good things is the control of self. And this is in line with the Prophet, if Allah mentioned in the Quran, Inna Allah la yughayyiru ma biqawmin hatta yughayyiru ma bi anfusihim. Indeed, Allah does not change the condition of a community until they change what is in themselves. That is the condition, that is the situation, that is the action we need to take. We are talking a lot now, but have we taken action? We are talking about these people should take action. These people should take action. This action, 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 action. But what did Allah say about action? Inna Allah la yughayyiru ma biqawmin. He will not change the state of a community, of a people. Hatta yughayyiru ma bi anfusihim, until they change what is in themselves. Have we actually taken time to change ourselves in all this? Have we changed the state of our community? Have we changed the state of our own self? And I said this last week. I said this in so many times when I reiterate this. As much as we are highlighting evil today, we are highlighting oppression, we are highlighting abuse today, we should also highlight the rightful model, which is why the Prophet is modeled as laqad kana lakum fi rasulillah uswatun hasanah, the best of example. So every time you point towards evil, people say, okay, if this is evil, what is a manifestation of good? There's the nature of man. If you say that this is evil, all right, so you who are calling out against evil, what have you got to offer? What have the Muslims got to offer today? What have you got to offer to the world today? If there was Fir'aun, Allah has offered to the Ummah Musa. If there was Namrud or Nimrod, Allah has offered to the Ummah Ibrahim, Sayyidina Ibrahim alayhi salam. If there was Abu Jahl and Abu Lahab and these people, Allah SWT has offered Sayyidina Muhammad Rasulullah to the community. What have you offered to the community today? You have not made any offerings, right? Why? Because we have not focused on change in ourselves. So Shaykh Hamza Yusuf says there's a need for global tawbah. There's need to be repentance. That's the start of all things. You start this global tawbah. You start global tawbah, and then your dua will hit the target. It will be a marksman. It will be a marksman arrow, because a heart that is cleansed, all right, when they make a dua, it will reach Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Perhaps you are making dua with a heart that is still impure. All right. So rancor, enmity, boasting, and henceforth, when you win an argument, you start to brag about it. Your followers start to be boastful. You know what's the thing about public debates that is reprehensible? When you win a debate, sometimes the one that wins the debate doesn't say anything much, but it's the followers. They start to fall over second, the smallest set of debates. They will start to follow up and say, you know, you lost, and then they start to promote the loss and everything else, make it into videos, smaller videos and everything. So, you know, if someone loses a debate and they are embarrassed by it, they are humiliated by it, you think it will take them to the truth? No. It's different from the Prophet ﷺ. When they lost a battle, they lost a battle. That's it. When they won a battle, they won a battle. That's it. So in fact, after winning a battle, there's a space for reflection. That's how people like Sayyidina Khalid bin Walid, when in the Battle of Uhud, despite winning the battle against the Prophet ﷺ, it became a game changer for him, because he saw the Prophet ﷺ in the Battle of Uhud and how his caravan, his horsemen cannot make any progression against the Prophet because he put archers and mount of Jabal Ainain. All right. He couldn't move, and Khalid bin Walid, he's a mastermind of battles. He's the genius in the battlefield. He says that there's something about Muhammad here, that he has a strategy that no Arabs have thought of. So you start to see there's something divine about the Prophet ﷺ. The problem with us today, that in debates, in arguments, there's no space to actually appreciate the truth that's coming from someone's mouth. Why? Because you're busy dealing with the ego. You know, in a debate between two people, you don't see the other person who lost the debate accepting the truth. He will accept the defeat, but he will not accept the truth. Why? Because he's busy healing his ego. His ego is now being destroyed. Why? Because of the mannerisms of the victor. The victor wins and humiliates. He wins in a humiliating manner. He wins by the jeers that his supporters impose upon the losers. So this person who lost, all right, his ego is hurt. So he has to heal. So he's focused more on actually working on the pain that he receives, rather than the truth that he's supposed to get. That's problematic. Okay. Of course, if there arises a question between you, now, Imam Ghazali is realistic. He says, okay, there is a chance that a debate can happen. So under what conditions is a debate permissible? Let's look at this. Of course, if there arises a question between you and an individual or a group, and your intention is the truth may become manifest and not lost, debating is permissible. So there is an issue, all right, that arises, and you feel that this needs to be debated so that the truth can be manifested and the community is not lost. You can have a debate. So there's a worry, there's a common worry. Let's get this truth out. So you don't agree on this, I don't, we have a certain concern here, you don't agree on this part, and I don't agree on your part. If we don't come to a consensus, all right, if we can't come to an agreement on the outcome of this, the community might be misled. The community might be divided. So let's come to a consensus. In that case, a debate can happen. There's a worry that if there is no consensus that's established, a consensus doesn't mean one wins over the other. A consensus can be moved actually taking a step back, agreeing that there is actually an agreement that there should be a disagreement. That's how scholars come to consensus last time. There's a consensus, therefore, that if you do kunut in the school of thought of Imam Shafi'i, it is sunnah for every Fajr prayer. And therefore, it's not sunnah for those in other schools of thought. That is called a consensus. It's not something that's imposed on everybody. The consensus doesn't have to be one imposing idea over everyone. Consensus can be an agreement that both our thoughts are acceptable. And we are free to practice it as long as we understand that it is something that is not similar in terms of understanding for another school of thought. That's acceptable. All right. So the greater thought is for the ummah. Okay, if that is the reason, if there's a greater concern, yes, you can bring it for a debate. But there are two signs. So there are two signs. Okay, now you agree. Okay, we should have a debate because there's something. There are two signs, and look at these two signs. That's why when every time I read, this book, when I first read this, I read this in the train. All right, I read this in the train. I broke down because this work of Imam Ghazali, it touches. It touches you when you read this book. He's speaking to you. He's speaking to the realities of this ummah. He's speaking to you directly. All right. But there are two signs of such a desire. First, that it makes no difference between whether the truth is revealed by your tongue or the tongue of another. Doesn't matter who wins. It's not out to seek victory. It's out to seek the truth. This is not a football match. This is not Arsenal versus Brentford and Arsenal goes to the top of the table. This is not that. It's not a football match. This is the seeking of truth. So if you're seeking of truth, doesn't matter where it comes from. In fact, Imam Shafi'i, he says that when I debate someone, I hope that truth comes out from his own mouth. Doesn't matter because we're looking for truth. All right, truth can come. Whoever gets the truth, I will be happy. All right, or the tongue of another. So the preoccupation is not who wins. The preoccupation is truth is manifested. And that you prefer discussion in private than in public. This point here. That you prefer discussion in private than in public. This is a very important point here. Because why? Because when you have a public debate, all right, the public's opinion of a point is not the same as the learned. You must remember, in religion, there is the learned and there is also those who are learning. The learned and the learners. You must remember, or in a more specific term, there's those people who have khas. All right, there's the khas and the am. Or khas means those learned, and am means the public. Now, in a public sphere, for example, Brother Irwan and myself get involved in a debate. Okay, let's imagine. So since both of us have our cameras on, let's imagine we have a debate. Okay, and it's a public debate. All right, it's a public debate shown online. It's viral. It's hybrid. Ever sees a debate between two learned scholars, Sheikh Irwan and Sheikh Hafiz. So it's a public debate. Now, between these two, Sheikh Irwan is actually the more learned. He's the more senior, the most learned, the most wara, the most pious. The more pious, the more learned. Yeah, look at his face now. Yeah. All right, the learned phase. MashaAllah, mashallah. All right, imagine. All right, so he's the more learned one, but he's not actually gifted in speech. He can speak, yeah, his students, he can teach, but he's not learned in his, he's not good in speech. You know, some people, when they speak, right, when they teach, they are not interesting, they're not engaging speakers. They are monotonous speakers. Some of my teachers last time, all right, when they speak in public, the public don't get them. Is when they speak before a book and they speak in specific learning circles, people appreciate. But then in public, people say, "Oh, this is such a boring speaker." This is so, brother Sheikh Erwan is that. He can't engage. He will just say monotonously, you know, this. I, on the other hand, am the less pious. I don't wake up for tahajjud. I pray PSP. But what I have is rhetorics. I can speak well. I know when to twist an argument. I know when to spin an argument. I know when to throw a good hadith out. I know when to get the emotions of the people right up. I can trigger their heart. I know when to throw a particular, not just a hadith, a long hadith. I can know when to throw in a verse of the Quran and recite it with taranum, with qira'at. In a public sphere, if a public sees an argument between these two, who will they determine its truth coming out from? Not from Sheikh Erwan. Come on, this is going to stop, man. He's so unconvincing. The convincing is not because of his content. The convincing is by his speech. So who's the better? Who's the winner? Who's the truth now? Me. I who don't wake up for tahajjud. I who play PSP. I who is not actually learned. Who have not completed my learning. I who have all the problems that Allah only knows. I become the manifestation of truth. Isn't that problematic? What makes things worse? Brother Erwan now decides, in preparation of his debate with me, I cannot lose to Ustaz Hafiz, with Sheikh Hafiz. I will work on my rhetorics. I will work on my speech. I will work on that. So he's not focused on his substance of his content. He's focused on defeating me. All is lost. No wonder the public is lost. The purpose of a truth, how it should work ideally is therefore, Sheikh Erwan and Sheikh Hafiz, we meet. Perhaps a mediator to discuss and debate on this issue, attended by learned people, so that between two of us, if we make a mistake, the learned inside that circle can correct us. And then when the conclusion is made, then we present it to the masses in a way that is palatable and understandable to them. It cannot be then shown to the public in its raw form and let the public make an opinion. It's going to be problematic. Because when you have a public debate, and like all debates, it is going to involve not just the substance of your content, the manner in which it is presented. And let's be honest, not everyone can present it the way that ideally the public wants it to be seen. So let's be mindful. That's why Imam Ghazi cautions against this. Because for those who are taking part in the debate, it affects their hearts. It also affects the knowledge already so shallow of the masses. All right, and also the hearts, the intentions of the masses themselves. All right, so there's bound to be problematic assumption from there on. All right, so do not always believe, and I already said, do not always believe that if someone decides not to reply you on a debate, if someone provokes you on social media, why are you not saying anything? Why are you not saying anything? If that person doesn't say anything, doesn't mean the person is not knowing anything, because as you will read on later, when they say something to the wrong person, it becomes a wrong assumption after that. We're going to learn about this. This is beautiful. As I said, this chapter is beautiful. All right. Listen carefully. And I will draw your attention to a helpful point. Okay. He's giving a metaphor here. Know that asking the sheikh, your sheikh means a learned person. All right, when you talk about a sheikh here, talking about a learned person who is close to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. It's the most simple definition of a sheikh here, is a learned person who is close to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Okay? Alim wa abid. All right? Know what that asking the sheikh questions about problems is just like presenting the sickness of the heart to the doctor. And the answer lies in your struggle to treat the sickness. So, first thing you should know, when you ask a question, all right? So when you draw attention to a helpful point, when you have a problem, you have a calamity. For example, If I have a problem waking up for tahajjud at night, so I present my case to Sheikh Ahmad Saad. I say, Sheikh, I cannot do tahajjud. I have a problem waking up for tahajjud. I have no problem waking up for English Champions League. UEFA Champions League. I have no problem waking for a late English Premier League game. I have no problem with that, Sheikh. But when it comes to waking up for tahajjud, I have a problem with that. I cannot do Qiyamul Lail. So when I ask my Sheikh that question, it's like I have to tell a doctor. No, you tell a doctor. All right, when you go to a doctor, and this is Sunday, and Monday is our favorite day to see a doctor. So if you want your illness to be genuinely diagnosed, if you want a genuine genuine cure to your ailment, you have to be genuine in your presentation of case. So if the doctor asks you, how are you feeling? I'm feeling this. Why? You want to give a doctor all, you have to want to lay everything bare on the table so that he can give a proper and comprehensive diagnosis. You can't be evading here and evading there. That's why some people, they are prolong their visit to the doctors more than they should. Why? Because they are not giving the full picture. So give a full picture to the doctors, and the doctor will advise you accordingly. That's why it is encouraged for us to go for health checks. Because in a health check, it's laid bare. Everything, your cholesterol, your diabetes, everything. Then the doctor tells you what to do next. All right, or how many months you're left. All right, so that's supposed to see a doctor that. But the point here is that Imam Ghazali is saying that after you see your doctor, so if I've seen Sheikh Ahmad San, so Sheikh Ahmad San says, CD, all right, that's why he calls his students. CD, I'm telling you that if you want to pray for tahajjud, some conditions. Before you sleep, no surfing on social media, not looking at the phone. Before you sleep early. When you sleep, switch off all lights. All right, when he tells me these three conditions, you're not supposed to access social media at night. You're not supposed to, when you have to sleep early, and also you're supposed to make sure that you off on this. This is actually literally what Sheikh actually advises his students. You have to sleep early. You have to make sure that when you sleep, all lights are off. He says no surfing on social media. This is three advice for people to sleep well. When he gives you these three advice, does that mean I'm going to be cured automatically? Does that mean immediate cure? No. Imam Ghazali says that. Look at this. Imam Ghazali says here, the answer lies in your struggle to treat the sickness. So if he tells me that, the answer lies in what? In whether I want to take it up or not. So if he tells me, you have to stop surfing the net before you go to bed. You have to off the lights. You have to sleep early. If I decide to take 2 out of 3 of the advice, I decide to sleep with all my lights off. I decide to actually sleep early, but I decide to still surf before I go to sleep. Does it serve the purpose? No. So ultimately, it's back to the patient himself. If I'm asking the question and if I'm getting the answer, I must be willing to act upon the advice. If the doctor tells you cut down on your sugar, cut down on your carbohydrates, all right, avoid late night meals, you take it. You can't be selective. Oh, selectively decide. Actually, he's referring to this. No, you have to take it wholesomely. So if you're going to ask a question to a learned person, be prepared for the prescription. You can't take partial prescription. You have to take the whole thing he offers you. There's the ethic of it. Now, let's look at this point here. You should know that the ignorant are those whose hearts are diseased. So we, the ignorant, our hearts are diseased. While the learned, our teachers, our scholars, they are the doctors. This is a problem with our community also. What makes you think that these scholars, they are not humans like us? Who are saying they are not humans? Who are saying that they are humans like us? They are humans like us, yes, true. But they are better humans than us because they are more knowledgeable. Because Allah says in the Quran himself, يَرْفَعِ اللَّهُ الَّذِينَ آمَنُوا مِنْكُمْ وَالَّذِينَ أُوتُوا الْعِلْمَ دَرَجَاتٍ. He exalts those who are knowledgeable, all right, in multiple ranks. Why have we got no problems to see a doctor who is qualified, and we have no problem, we don't say that this doctor is susceptible to making an error as much as we do? Why do we say that? But when it comes to seeing a scholar, this scholar is susceptible to making an error like we do. Why have we got no problems abasing a scholar who is fearful of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, but we have no problems abasing a doctor? We have every caution not to abase a doctor and question a doctor. So our premise is wrong. If someone is given the premise, if someone is given the expertise, then you acknowledge the expertise. That's why you go to a proper mechanic when your car breaks down. Why? You know that they have the expertise. That's why you go to the doctor tomorrow to get your MC, because you know that they have the expertise. That's why you go to the scholars when you have a problem with your heart. Which is why in the Quran is mentioned, Fas'alu ahla dhikri in kuntum la ta'lamun. Ask the knowledgeable if you do not know. There's a basic formula. So if you have a problem with your heart, who do you go to? No, I'm talking about the heart condition as in seeing a doctor. But if you have a problem with your spirituality, go to someone who knows the matter of spirituality. Who? The learned scholars. Right? So meet the scholars. The partially learned cannot perfect the treatment. So remember this. The partially learned, we partially learned. Right? Even Fardu Ain never passed yet. All right. Still don't know, still Fatiha all over the place. All right. Cannot perfect the treatment. We cannot perfect the treatment. All right. And the perfectly learned do not treat every sick person. Okay, so must bear this in mind. We, all right, cannot treat some. There are some things we can treat ourselves. All right. Sometimes we have a small cut at home, we can just wash it off. But not all ailments can be cured by self. Okay, you need to see a proper doctor, a proper expert. And even the expert, what the expert and the perfectly learned do not treat every sick person, but will treat those whom he hopes will respond to the treatment and the cure. If the malady is chronic or incurable, then he will not give any treatment, for this is a waste of time. Then know that the sickness of ignorance is classified for them. So let's know this. All right, a doctor. All right, so he's telling us when you are going to give advice to people, there are some people that is worthy of giving advice, some people you should not. Like a doctor. So a doctor, when he gives advice, certain times he says he gives you advice. Why? There's shop for cure. But certain times, what did the doctor say? You can take your family member home. What does that mean? Prepare him for death. You can take him home. All right, or they give you a time frame, 2 months, 3 months. So at that point of time, all right, the remaining medication is perhaps given to better or to ease the state of the detriment. It is not to cure. It is to help that person cope with the final stages of his exit from this world. But for most of the cases, all right, is to cure you. So you must remember, a doctor, all right, when he prescribes, it's on two premises. One is for recovery. One is to ease your final processes. So here Imam Ghazali is saying that at certain times, there are some things that is incurable. Or there are certain things that our advice might not work. So here's his premise. So he says here, then know, given any treatment for this, then know that the sickness of ignorance is classified in 4 types. So the most dangerous, so there are 4 types of sickness of ignorance that we need to deal with. All right. One of them is curable and the other is incurable. So he's saying that ignorance is the most, he's saying that ignorance, there's only 1 acceptable form of ignorance and 3 that's not acceptable. Okay, 1. The first one, so he's trying to tell us now when we deal with people. Right, he's trying to deal when he deals with people. So he knows, he's telling us, therefore, when you do da'wah, so back to this premise again. When you do da'wah, all right, so we're taking up the job of da'wah, all right, we are taking up a small role of the learned people, a small role of the learned people. We're calling to goodness, all right. He's telling his student, and he's telling us actually, there are things you should avoid, and things you should, there are 4 types of ignorance that you will encounter when you call to goodness. 3 you should avoid, 1 you should attend to. What's the first one? He whose questions and objections stem from envy and malice, and every time you reply to him in the best, clearest, and most eloquent manner, it only increases his malice, enmity, and envy. The method of dealing with him is not to occupy yourself with answering him. All right. So, for example, there are some people whom they ask you, no matter how much you explain to them, they will rebut you. No matter how you answer to them, they will not listen to you. You will find every excuse, no matter your best arguments, they are determined not to accept you. They have made up their mind that no matter what you say, they're not going to accept you. It's no point addressing these people. It will get you more frustrated. No matter what you say, and everyone is smiling. So you tell them, you give the best advice. You are given the hard way. You went the Sayyidina Umar al-Khattab way, fierce way, fiery way, doesn't work. You went the Sayyidina Abu Bakar Siddiq way, very gentle, doesn't work. What's the Malay word? Kepala batu. All right, there's a big stone dick sitting in his head. He doesn't want to listen because why? He has made up his mind not to listen to you. And why does he come to you in the first place? Now you're asking, Ustaz, if he's not eager to change, why does he come to us? So that at least he can tell people that I've made my move. I've made the effort, but this guy can't help me. So the onus is not on me, it's on him to change me, not me. So if such people come to you and they argument and they come to and you advise them in your best every way possible, all the verse of the Quran, all the hadith you can think of, all the verse of the ulama, all the best ways, you even do tahajjud, everything so that you can guide this person. Oh, this person doesn't want to listen to you. Just drop it. Imam Ghazali says, drop it. You drop the advice, you don't drop the prayer. Just make dua. At this point of time, Allah will reach him. That's why the Prophet in the battle of Uhud, all means comes to the point of battle. Ya Allah, guide them. I've taught them the religion. They still want to fight me. They still want to kill me. Ya Allah, only you can guide them. One hopes for the removal of every enmity except enmity arising from envy. So these people, in fact, sometimes when you advise them, what do they say? Who is this guy to advise me? Who is this person? Who is this person trying to advise me? You already have that preconceived idea of you. All right? So that people, drop it. Leave it. It befits you to shun him and leave him in his sickness. All right? Because he doesn't want to benefit from your advice. You're not being evil by doing so, you know. You're being nice, you're being fair to yourself. You have done your part. وَمَا عَلَيْنَا إِلَّا الْبَلَاغُ مِنْ. Your job is to deliver. That person doesn't want to listen, move on. There are many people who will be waiting for you to accept your message, which I'll talk about later. But some people, they are eager not to listen to you. It's not because they do not know. If they will know, they will be clarifying. But no, no matter how you tell them, they just keep doing the opposite. Deliberately. Allah the Exalted says, therefore shun those who turn away from our message and desire nothing but the life of this world. In all that he says and does, the envious people are set to set fire to the fruit of his knowledge. Envy eats up good deeds as fire eats up wood. So this person, they have a preconceived notion of you. Right? So they ask you, and then with no intention to change. All right? Second, he whose sickness arises from stupidity. I like Imam Ghazali. He's very straightforward. It's real. Imam Ghazali is real. It's for stupidity. It's for foolishness. All right? Ahmaq. All right? It's also incurable. As Sayyidina Isa alayhi salam said, indeed, I did not fail in bringing the dead to life, but I fail in curing the stupid. Imam Sayyidina Isa, Nabi Isa says, alayhi salam, he says that, I can bring back the dead to life biiznillah. But the stupid, there's nothing that can be done about them. What's the stupid here? This is the stupid here. There are many categories of stupid. The stupid here is the fool here occupies himself with acquiring knowledge over a short span of time. Look at this. You can underline this. The fool here is the one who deems himself smart when he's not. This is the fool who is unaware of his foolishness, but instead mistakes it for intelligence. The fool occupies himself with acquiring knowledge over a short span of time and learns very little share of the intellectual and religious sciences. They just example of these are those people who just attend 1, 2, 3 lessons about hadith, and then they come out blazing. This thing is wrong. This person is doing wrong. This guy is doing haram. Just 2, 3 lessons, and they feel empowered already. Imam Shafi'i says that there are conditions for someone to attain the fruits of knowledge. All right, he says, "Akhilan tanal ilma." He says, "Oh my dear brother, you will not reach the fruits of knowledge. There be sittatin except when you've gone through 6 things. Zakain, intelligence. All right, you have actually your intelligence. Wahirsin, all right, desire. Wajtihadin, effort. All right. Wabulghatin, with enough expenditure, because it's going to take a long time. All right. Zakain, wahirsin, wajtihadin, wabulghatin, wa irshadin, and the guidance of a proper teacher. And the 6th is a long span of time. So you have to have intelligence, a sound mind. All right, a sound mind that's able to absorb knowledge, process the knowledge. All right, a sound mind. All right, wahirsin, you need to have the desire, a great desire. Wajtihadin, you have to put in great effort, continuous effort. All right, wabulghatin, since you're going to study, you need to spend, you need expenditure. So our brothers or our sisters and brothers who are studying overseas, they need expenditure. And you need the guidance of a teacher, a proper teacher. All right, wa irshadi ustad. And the last one is wa tuli zaman, it takes a long period of time. It takes a long period of time. You can't be learning 2-3 more weeks and then you have an epiphany and suddenly I'm learned. Suddenly I'm equal level to Imam Shafi'i. Suddenly you can say that Imam Shafi'i is a human like I am, so I can be like him. Can't be that. You know, one of my teachers, he says, in the past, all right, in the past, when someone goes to Mecca, in the past, when people study in Mecca or study overseas for that matter, because Mecca was a popular learning place, he said, all right, he says that when people study in Mecca, to study there, they will study for a prolonged period of time, 20, 30 years overseas. He says that those who study there for 4 or 5 years last time, when they come back, they're considered to have the knowledge of a primary 1 kid. 4 or 5 years, then come back. You have a knowledge of a primary, equivalent to a primary 1 kid in the past. So you notice the scholars, our Nusantara scholars, when they go study in Mecca last time, they can be there and they even stay there longer. All right, they can go 15, they can go 10, 15, 20 years there. And when they study there, it's every day, almost every minute learning from learned people. All right, in the premises of Masjid al-Haram. That was that in the past. All right. So now he's saying there's two people are those who this fool knows not and thinks that which is obscure to him is also obscure to the great scholar. You can underline this. So foolish means that it's not because he's ignorant, but he's ignorant of his ignorance. He starts to think that, oh, Imam Shafi'i is problematic. Oh, Imam Malik is problematic. All right. Imam Malik is narrated that once he was reciting a hadith in the Prophet's mosque. He was reciting a hadith in the Prophet's mosque, and an animal. It was not specified which animal. So an animal with a poisonous animal came and beat him. He was reciting a hadith. He was delivering a hadith to the students, to the student of knowledge. A hadith, an animal beat him. He completed his hadith, and you know Imam Malik. One beautiful thing about him, the beautiful thing about his adab, Imam Malik, is that if someone comes to him and says, "Can you recite to me a hadith?" He will get up and he will tell the person to wait. He will purify himself, put on his best clothes, best attire, put on his best perfume, face the Qiblat, and he will recite the hadith for even one hadith. Imam Malik's adab with knowledge. So one day he was reciting a hadith and an animal came and stung him. Without a change of tone, momentum, whatsoever, he recited the hadith perfectly, finished it, and then he attended to his wound. One of his students who was a scholar, I forgot who was that, all right, came to him and says, "Yeah, Imam Malik, all right, why didn't you attend to your wound? You were stung. And in religion, it's permissible for you to attend to your wound because it is something that daruratu tubihul mahzura, that if you have something that is of such circumstances, you can really, of dire circumstances, you can make an exception." He says, "It is not becoming. It's not becoming of me. It's not becoming for me, all right, to recite the hadith of this person," and he points to the Prophet's grave, "to this person, and stop it halfway just because an animal stung me. Because of the honor of this person, I have to recite his hadith in full." Imam Shafi'i, he doesn't permit any person to recite the hadith of Prophet ﷺ. If he was around today, I'll be the first to be wiped off his list. Doesn't allow anyone to quote the Prophet's hadith. There's a way to recite it. There's a meter to reciting it. It's not just reciting how you're saying. There's a way to recite it. There's a science to reciting. Not even talking about the hadith. Reciting it. Those are those scholars. And yet today we have people loosely saying, these four imams are humans like us. They can make judgments, and so can we. How different are we from them? How different are we from them? That's why we call Imam Ghazali calls these people foolish. How foolish are you to compare yourself to people you can compare with in every level of the word? Imam Ghazali himself, where is he? He's a Shafi'i. He's a Shafi'i. With all his credentials, can he open a new madhab? Can he start a new madhab? He has never crossed his mind to do so. Why? He understands, all right, the levels that comes with it. All right. So this fool knows not and thinks that what is obscure to him and also obscure to the great scholar. If he does not know this much, then obviously his questions will originate from folly. You must not attempt to answer him. Okay. So such people, their questions always from desire. You don't have to address them. Because and you'll find out, you know for yourself. Some of us experience ourselves. Such people who always undermine scholars, who undermine scholarly knowledge. It's no point arguing. Because why? They already saw themselves as equal to scholars. So when you argue with them, they don't see how they are different from scholars. That's a very problematic point to start off with, and it's problematic to go. Again, this one's same formula as the first one. You drop interacting with them on this, but don't drop the dua for them. All right, don't drop the dua for them. Okay, so we have covered two. All right, we have covered two, and I told you that this is going to take some time because it's very insightful from Imam Ghazali. But I hope you see today how this chapter alone, all right, shows how significant, all right, how vast the knowledge of Imam Ghazali is, because the things he say in those days is actually pertinent to this very day. All right, so we stop here today. All right, and then we will continue inshallah in the upcoming week. All right, as we look at the other two signs of ignorance. All right, the other two signs of ignorance. All right, from Imam al-Ghazali. Sallallahu ala Sayyidina Maulana Muhammadin wa ala alihi wa sahbihi alhamdulillah alamin. Any questions? There's no question, and we shall stop here. Inshallah, see each other next week. Wassalamu alaikum warahmatullahi ta'ala wabarakatuh.
Thank you, Ustaz.
Thank you.
Alaikum
Welcome.
salam wa rahmatullah. Thank you, Ustaz.
Thank you, Sheikh Erwan.
Yeah, ya akhi.